Hello and welcome to part 10 of the Backrooms Game Lab. In this part, we will be creating a main menu, which will have a new game feature, a load game feature, and a quit game feature. We're also going to add auto-saving to our game. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So what I'm going to do to create the level, the main menu, is I don't want my main menu to be boring. I'm not just going to create a little black UI. I'm not going to do that. What we're going to do is create a 3D main menu. So to do this, I'm just going to duplicate my level 0. And I'm going to rename it to say main menu. Now if I go into my main menu scene by double clicking it, you can now see at the top left, it's called main menu. Now I want to make sure that this is added to the build settings so that we can transition into it when we press the button to go to the main menu. So to do that, I'm just going to open my build settings up like we did in the last episode. I'm going to drag my main menu in here, and I'm going to bring it to the very top of the scene index. So because it's at the top, this means this will be the first scene that the player goes to when they start their game. So it's pretty important that that is at the top of the thing. So let's go ahead and X out of that. So to start this main menu, I'm going to go ahead and delete the FPS controller. And if I just gonna get my camera into view right here, you can see this is going to be our menu shot right here. It's a pretty nice shot. The light is going to be flickering. It'll be pretty nice for what it is for. So I'm going to delete these batteries here, all these batteries off the screen. I'm going to go ahead and delete that blue key, and maybe I want to make it look a little bit more atmospheric. So I'm going to go ahead and come up here and delete that light right there to make it a little bit more creepy. Is this a flickering light? I might want to make that light into a flickering light if it's not one already. I don't think it's a flickering light. So I'm going to make this a flickering light by just typing in flicker right here into my project tab. And I'll go ahead and drag in a flickering light right over there. And now this is a flickering light. So what I want to, also let me go ahead and delete this light so that it doesn't really get in the way of the game. There we go. All right, there we go. Here's the shot. It's a pretty nice shot right there. Now we have our shot for our main menu, and it's pretty creepy. I'm not gonna lie. It is pretty. I wouldn't like this if I was here. I might want to delete this light. Okay, there we go. Here's our main menu. Okay. So because we need a camera in order to actually see this, otherwise it just says no cameras rendering in our game tab. What we want to do is first of all right click in here in our hierarchy, go down to camera and create. Now you see we have a new camera, and the preview will pop up at the bottom right, and you'll see here's our camera. We do want to click this camera though and press Command or Control Shift F, and now you can see that the camera preview brings itself to where we're looking. We also want to come over to the rendering section and turn on post-processing. That makes sure that our camera is actually accepting the post-processing settings that we gave it on the second tutorial. Otherwise, as you can see, it's just kind of bland and doesn't have any effects. And you see that we have that crosshair right there. Because this is just the main menu and we don't want the crosshair, I'm going to delete this normal crosshair, the hover crosshair, as well as the Win UI from our main canvas. So now our main canvas is completely empty. I also, because as you can see, my camera, ignoring that like really bright light right there, my camera is a little bit more zoomed out than this camera. See, it looks kind of zoomed in over here. That is because in my scene, my FOV is higher than in my game. Now to fix that, I'm just going to come over to this camera right here, and I'm going to add more FOV to it. So let's come over to the field of view, or FOV, and I'm going to drag this up to maybe 80 or 90. And oh my gosh, you see how doggone bright that thing is. We need to fix that. So to fix it, I'm going to click on the post-process volume at the top. I'm going to come over, and I'm going to clone my volume. Now we're going to have to get rid of some of this bloom. So let's change this intensity from 4 to say, let's say 0.1. I'm also going to change this lens dirt by pressing this circle next to the dirt texture. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to select a different dirt. I think that this one is pretty nice. And because this is the main menu and I don't want this to be exactly like how the games look, I'm going to come down and I'm going to add a new setting into my post-processing, and I'm going to add chromatic aberration. Dun dun dun. No, it's not that big of a deal. It's pretty much just, it makes the color split. So when I turn the intensity on right here, drag the intensity up a little bit, the whole screen turns blue because it's loading. And as you can see now, it does some pretty crazy things with the camera and some things that we like because it's the main menu and it's pretty dramatic. Next, I want to add another override. Let's get another one in here. Let's call this one the depth of field. Another scary name, but it's pretty simple. All we have to do is come over here, turn on the mode, and let's turn on the bokeh. And as you can see, if we turn on all of these, it will be blurry at a certain distance. Now, I believe, yep, as you can see, when we change this focus distance, it gets more and less blurry. So if we were to just make this something like 0. I think that's a pretty decent one. Maybe like 1.5, nope, 1.9. Yeah, I like 0.9 right there. As you can see, it's kind of blurry. You can't really see everything going on in the background, and it's pretty creepy looking. So there we go. There's our post-processing. I think that's everything. The most I could do now is maybe make that into a green tint to change it up a little bit, make it look more and more less like our backrooms that the character is going to be inside of. And as you can see now, gosh, there we go. We have a cool main menu. All right, so now you can feel free to copy these settings if you want to, or make your own. It's up to you. I'm going to save my main menu so that I don't lose all my data. And now we need to create some simple UI. So let's click into our scene tab again. Let's press F, and then let's press 2. Now, as you can see, we have our giant rectangle right here, which is our canvas. And I'm going to drag my game tab down here so that we can see what we're doing at the same time as we are changing what we're doing, if that makes sense. So that looks like a pretty legit screen right down there because we played around with the post-processing, which is why I recommended using the Unity render pipeline, which is it's a pretty big deal. Makes you able to make effects like that. But anyways, what we need to do now is click on the main canvas, right click it, come down to UI and click text from Text Mesh Pro. And this is going to be our title text. So what I can do is just rename this to say title text. And I'm going to rename this to be the title of my game. So my game, I guess I'm going to call this, because I already made a game that's called this, I'm just going to call it The Complex in all caps. Yeah, how about that? Or I could just make it The Complex like normal, but then what I could do is simply press this button right here and it makes it look pretty cool. And then I can turn on the color gradient, turn it on to vertical gradient, and then make the bottom color a little bit transparent. And there we go. Sorry if I'm throwing a lot at you at once, by the way. This is a pretty fast-paced video just because there's some things that there's a lot that we have to get done. So I am moving a little bit faster. Please feel free to pause the video, rewind if you feel like you missed something. And of course, join the Discord server if you just can't get something. I or my team will be happy to help you fix what you need to fix if you can't find out how to do it yourself. So yeah, let's go ahead and do what we did last video by changing the wrapping to be on disabled. So now we can scale this up to be as big as we want it to, and it won't have any problems. Just like this. I'm gonna press F. I'm gonna press F on my main canvas so that now we can see everything. And I'll drag my title text out here somewhere. Yeah, that looks good, I think. So I'm gonna come down here and I'm gonna make a new text right here. And this is gonna be the credits text. Now, I don't make it, it's not necessary that you credit me, but if you want to, feel free to. I mean, I won't complain, but I'm gonna make this maybe a size of 30. And I'm gonna say made by, what's my name? Developer Jake at the bottom here. You can of course put your name. You can of course say, with the help of Developer Jake, whatever you want to do. There's your credits. That's where you put all your credits or whatever you want down there. And I'm of course actually gonna make that a little bit more transparent so it's not so bright on the screen. So to make it more transparent, all you gotta do is I'm gonna turn off my color gradient and I'm gonna turn on the vertex color to have less alpha. Now, as you can see, it's getting darker and darker and darker. So I think I'll put my alpha down to 30. I think that's a pretty decent alpha. So next, what we want to do is just go ahead and make some buttons, and we just need 3 buttons: a load game button, a new game button, and of course the quit game button. So let's create a button here. We want to come down to button. I want to drag this over here and press E, or press R to change the scale of that. And then I want to do something that for some reason a lot of people don't do in YouTube. I want to come over to the source image and take off that source image because it looks pretty choppy with that source image there. I'm also going to, I think that's pretty decent. I might make this a yellow color because this is the backrooms we're talking about. I feel like the buttons should be a little bit yellow. And finally, like we did last video, I'm going to come down to navigation, turn it on to none, and turn this fade duration down to 0. Change the highlighted color, make it darker. Same thing we did last episode. Change the press color, make it darker. Same thing we did last video. I'm going to change this button text to be the new game. And actually, because it looks pretty bad right now, what we can do is just change this vertex color to be, let's make this black, all the way black. And let's try this. Yeah, I like that. So I'm going to turn on small caps at the very back right there, because I think it looks pretty decent. So there's small caps. I might make it bold. Yeah, I might make it bold. I might also do the same thing we did for the title with the color gradient. Change it to single gradient. Change this color to be more transparent. And there we go. It looks less like the default Unity font and more like our own font. And there is a tutorial on the channel that will be coming out teaching you how to make your own font into here, or at least add your own font into here, which will it literally just takes 2 minutes. So definitely feel free to watch that when you get a chance. It's pretty simple. But because I'm not doing that in this tutorial, I'm just using the default font. So I have to do what I can do to make it look better. I'm going to go ahead and come up to the inspector, and I'm going to rename this to be the new game. The new game button. I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to bring it down a little bit. And I'm going to say the load game button. And I'm going to change the text to, guess what I'm going to change the text to? The load game text. And this one I'm going to make it smaller. And I'm going to make the color a little bit more transparent. Because I don't want this one to stand out as much as the new game button. I'm going to make one more button down here. And I'm going to make this button called the quits button. The quits button. There we go, baby. And let's make this called the quit game. All right. Or maybe you can say exit game. Yeah, I think exit game actually looks better. So I'm going to call this the exit button instead. Now for new game, it's actually pretty simple. All we want to do is just come in here to new game, come down here and do the same thing we did last video. We just want to come and add the component for the level changer. Let's come into on click, same thing we did last video. Drag the level changer into the on click, click no function, come down to level changer, come to change scene. Let's change this text to say level 0. Since that's my first level, it's called level 0. And that's just going to take us to level 0. Pretty simple. It just makes a brand new game. Now, something I did notice is that our text is like weirdly offset. It doesn't really look the best in terms of offset with our title. So I'm just going to kind of try to align all 3 of these better with our title. Something like that. Sure, I think that looks a little bit more decent than just having it weirdly off to the side like that. So there we go. Now it looks a little bit more like a T and less like a whatever it was previously. So as you can see here, there are 2 buttons that we don't have fully implemented yet. The load game button and the exit button. So let's just go ahead and quickly get this exit button out of the way since it's pretty simple. And I'm going to create a new script. I'm going to create a new script up here, C# script. And let's just say the exit game button. I'm going to go ahead and press the enter on that and then double click it. so that we can open it inside of Visual Studio. And there's only one little line of code that we have to do to make this script work. So let's go ahead and delete all of the basic ones. Let's say public void, and we want to say, we just want to say exit game, open parenthesis, close parenthesis, open curly bracket, press enter. And all we want to do is press application.quit game. .quit. There we go. Let's put an open parenthesis, a close parenthesis, and a semicolon. And believe it or not, that is everything that we have to do here. So this just quits, let's say this quits the game when this method is called. So we should be able to save that and head back to Unity now. Let's come down to our exit game button. Let's look for the exit game button component. And in our on click, if we go ahead and drag our exit game button on here, we should just be able to click the no function, come down to exit game button, and then click exit game. And now this will quit our game. Important note though is that this will only quit our game if we are inside of the built version of this game. On part 12 of the Backrooms Game Lab, I will show you how to build your game so that this exit button will work and you can share this game onto itch.io with your friends or whatever you want to do with it. But for now, since we're just inside of Unity, you cannot use the exit game button. It can't quit your whole entire screen because that would be catastrophic. And I don't think the Unity devs wanted that to happen when you when you sent that method inside of the editor. So now there's one last thing here called the load game button. And let's go ahead and deal with this too. So if you just come up here, press create and press the C# script, I want to create a new thing called the, let's say, the load game manager. The load game manager. And then I just want to go ahead and double click it to open it inside of, you guessed it, Visual Studio. So at the very top, we want to use TM Pro, so Text Mesh Pro. So using Text Mesh Pro at the top. And I'm going to go ahead and delete everything except for the update method. And let's go ahead and create a serialized field, Text Mesh Pro, Text Mesh Pro UGUI. And this is going to be the load level text. And this is the preview of which level will be loaded. So this is the preview of which level will be loaded. And I actually didn't add this in yet, but we will add that in a second. So I'll tell you what that does in a second. But all we want to do basically is say load level text dot text equals player prefs dot get string loaded level comma and let's just put the default value to be nothing, so just nothing inside of there. All right, so basically what player prefs is going to do is when we quit our game, it will save the data and it will save which level we get to. So if we get to level 2 and then we quit our game, player prefs is going to save that data for us. And in the main menu, it's going to basically have a little bit of text below our load button, which will tell us our current loaded level is going to be level 1, or it's going to be level 2, or you're going to be sent to level 16. And that's what the loaded level text is going to tell us. Now, all we have to do to actually get the loaded button to work is just say using Unity engine dot scene management. I want to come down here and make a new public void load game. Open parenthesis, close parenthesis, open curly bracket, and then press enter. And then you should have a new method down here. And all we need to do in this method is simply do scene manager dot load scene. And we want to get player prefs dot get string loaded level, and that's the same one as right here. Now the last thing we want to do is if we don't have if we have never played the game before, we won't have a level that will be loaded. And because of that, we don't want our loaded button to be clickable, otherwise we're just going to get an error. So let's go ahead and make a serialized field button, And this is going to be the load button. And to import the button, we have to actually say using Unity Engine .ui. And now as you can see, button is no longer red. And what we want to do is we just want to go ahead and change this to be await instead of update, because now we're just going to be able to put this into an if statement, and it only needs to happen once. It doesn't need to happen over and over again. All we have to do is just say if string dot is null or white space, and inside of this open parenthesis close parenthesis, let's say player press dot get string loaded level, comma, and then just nothing. Then we want to put an open curly bracket and press enter. Then we want to say else at the end of that and press open parenthesis, and then put the close parenthesis after the loaded level text. So it should look something like this. And we want to say load button dot enabled, or sorry, dot interactable equals false. If there's no currently loaded level, then the load button dot interactable will be false. Else, if there is a loaded level, the load button dot interactable will be true. So that is pretty much everything that we need to do for the main menu. Now we will have to actually assign this to an object though, to make sure that the script actually does things. So let's just make a quick object by right clicking into the hierarchy, pressing create empty, and let's rename this to be the main menu manager. And we can drag this to the top just for looks. And I'll go ahead and add a component on here called the load game manager. And if I go ahead and click on my load game button, I can assign the main menu manager onto my button on click method. Now I can click no function, go to load game manager and press load game. Next we have two objects that we need to assign on the actual main menu manager. If we click it, you can see we have the load button. So let's go ahead and drag the load button over to the load button. And as for the load level text, we haven't actually created this yet. So let's just go ahead and create this. For me, I'm going to create it by simply duplicating this text here. And just to show what it would look like, I'm going to put, and let's get this level button down a little bit just because there's no space here. There we go. And I'm going to make this text color just completely white. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to make it completely white. And I'm going to go ahead and shrink it down just like this. And what this is going to say is something like level 0 or level 1, level 2, level 3, etc., etc. In this case, it's just going to be level 0 just for a placeholder. And if we just go ahead and bring this up a little bit, everything is pretty polished. I can even make that a little bit more transparent if I don't want it to stand out too much. It is, of course, up to you what you want to do with the UI. So I'm going to go ahead and click main menu manager. And I'm going to drag, of course, let's actually rename this just to be neat. I'm going to make this the load level text. Now I can click the main menu manager, drag the load level text over to the load level text. And now everything should be working. If it isn't interactable, it will look something like that. And if it is, it will look like that. So we can test this out real quick by simply bringing this game tab back up. And let's go ahead and press play. And when we press play, you'll see immediately that the load game button is not interactable. If this would finish loading. All right. The load game button is not interactable. We can't press it no matter what we do. And the new game button does work. It sends us over here. As for the level 0, maybe we don't want this to actually show any text if we don't have any level on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set this default text to be blank. So there will be no level 0 or anything that shows up until we finish loading a game. All right, so now that we have this this main menu done, all we have to do is get our load game to be fully functional by just saving our data of our game when we are playing our game. So this is pretty easy. It's literally just going to be one script that we have to implement, but we need to actually create the script before we can fully implement it. So let's just go ahead and come into, for now I'm just going to come into level 0, which is my base level that we made throughout the tutorial. And I'm going to go to my scripts folder and create the save level script. I'm going to create a C# script. I'm going to call it save level. Then I'm going to double click it to open it inside of Visual Studio. Inside of this script, all we need to do is get rid of the start method. Let's get rid of all the comments. And let's put at the top, let's say using Unity Engine.scene. Oh, Unity Engine. So come on, autocorrect always does that to me. Unity Engine.scene management. What we can do is we can actually create a private void awake function. And we want to also create another public void save game function. And we want this to be open parentheses, close parentheses, and then put the curly brackets to make it into a function. We also need a public reference, so public game object, to our save game UI. So this is just going to say saving game. That's what's going to display on the screen. And we want this to be called maybe every few seconds, but let's make it so that we can adjust that number outside of the script. So to do So to do this, I'm going to create a range, and let's create this range to be from 1 second to 30 seconds. And we're going to create a public float, and this is going to be the time between saves, which is the time that it takes for the game to autosave. Next, we're just going to come over here to our wake function and say invoke repeating. Name of, open parenthesis, save game with no parentheses after it. And now for our delay, it's going to take time between saves, time to start it. And it's going to happen every time between saves seconds. Now there's one last function we need to create, and it's just going to be a public void hide UI function. And the only reason I'm doing this is because I don't want to use an IE numerator. But yeah, basically what we want to do is come into our save game function right here and say invoke hide UI after let's say 3 seconds. And this is going to be name of open parenthesis, close parenthesis after the name. There we go. And all we have to do here is say, first of all, save game UI dot set active equals true. And inside of hide UI, all we want to say is save game UI dot set active equals false. All right. Oh, false. Come on, autocorrect. FALSE. Okay. And now for the actual save mechanics, we're going to say player prefs dot. So player prefs dot set string, and we're going to say the same string that we put into our load game manager. So this is loaded level right here. We're going to go ahead and put this over here, and we're going to say loaded level, comma, and let's just come into our exit door trigger up here, and we just have to get this right here, this little code right next to our update, and it should just be scenemanager.getActiveScene.name. We'll come into our save level script again, paste it in. So it's just scenemanager.getActiveScene.name and a semicolon at the end. So now, because we just set this string, we need to make sure to save our game, and to save it into our computer so that next time we can play it, we just have to say playerprefs.save. Playerprefs.save, open parenthesis, close parenthesis, semicolon, and that will save the loaded level, the name of the loaded level, into the player prefs so that we can then use it in the load game manager. Now you will see that we do have the save game UI, and we will need to specify that now. So let's come back into our game, and let's just create our save game UI. All right. So let's go ahead and right click in our hierarchy. Let's create an empty object, and let's name it the save game manager. All right, and I'm going to add the component, and I'm going to add the save level, And I'm going to set my time between saves to be, just for the sake of the tutorial, I'll make my time between saves 10 seconds. I think 10 will be good. And I'm going to, inside of here, I'm going to create a new canvas. And this is just going to be a saving UI canvas. And I'm going to come over to the canvas scaler, change it to scale of screen size, and I'm going to change it to be my resolution. In this case, my resolution is 1920 to 1200, but yours might be 1080 because most people use Windows. So I'm going to set mine to 1920 to 1080. All right. Now inside of here, I'm going to right click, create a new text mesh pro UGUI, and I'm going to make this text just say saving game. I'll go ahead and make it italic, and I'll go ahead and make the wrapping disabled. And I might want to actually say auto saving game. Auto saving game. No, I think I'll just use saving game. And I will make it a little bit transparent by clicking the vertex color, coming down to the A or alpha, and dragging it down a little bit, just like that. So now we have our saving game message right here. And I just want to position this to be at the bottom right. So to do that, now I am going to have to come to my scene tab, press the text, and I'm going to click F2, and then zoom out. And I'm going to drag this to be at the bottom of the canvas down here. And then of course, make sure to turn the saving UI canvas off in the inspector by just clicking that check mark button right there, so that it isn't always on the screen, even if you're outside of the game. Now if I go ahead and assign my saving UI canvas to the save game UI, we should be pretty much done with this. The last thing I'm going to do, just to make it so much easier to use this, is I'm going to I'm going to go into my prefabs folder first of all, and I'm going to drag my save game manager into my prefabs folder. Now we have a save game manager in the prefabs folder, and when inside of our different levels, all we'll have to do, for example, let me just go ahead and type in level 1. I'll come into level 1, which is different than level 0. And as you can see, I'm in level 1 now. My save game thing is gone. And if I just come out and type save game, we can just drag this into the hierarchy. And now this scene is also saving the level. So whenever I come into this scene, it will save the game. Now, the last thing that we need to do to kind of polish up this main menu is, if I come in over to my camera area, if you were to press play right now, you may have already noticed it. It's just a really loud buzzing sound that fills the silence of our game. And it's just really loud, and it just goes and it's super awkward for the player because they're just like, oh, this is the game. It's just a buzzing sound. We need music. So for music, honestly, you can find your own music, but I will show you where to find that music at. So I've currently gone over to A Shamalev Music, which is where I get most of my music for my YouTube channel. And she has pretty good music for backgrounds of things. So if I were to look for, let me see here, maybe a dramatic background, and if I were to preview one of these right here, like this one, let's say I really like this hero sound right here because it's super dramatic and I love it a lot. All I need to do is just click free download, and I will be sent to a new tab, and then it just downloads right away. You can use it all you want, you just can download it. You can't really use it for commercial use, otherwise you will need to pay money, but as long as you're not using it for commercial use, you can use these assets. So I'm not going to play this in the video because that would be commercial use, but you should be able to use yours inside of your game, right? So to import this, all you need to do is first of all come back over to Unity, and inside of Unity, all I'm going to do is click into my audio folder, and I'm going to make a new folder in here. I'm going to create it called music. Inside of my music folder, I'm going to right click, press import new asset. Then I'm going to navigate to my downloads folder and import the sound that I just downloaded from that website, Ash Shamalev Music. The link to that is in the description down below if that wasn't said already on the screen. So all I have to do now is just find my sound effects. Now to find the sound effect that we currently have in our game, I'm just going to type in at the top audio. So audio source. And this is exactly like it's typed. So no spaces, capital A, capital S. And we can see a light bulb sound right here. So I've clicked the light bulb sound and we see this right here. I'm just going to replace this with our music. So I'm going to click this, drag it to the audio clip, and then maybe bring the volume down to 0.4 just to make it not too obnoxious. And then there we go. There is our music. I can of course change this to say menu music in case it wasn't incredibly clear what that was already. So now if you were to go ahead and press your game, you should be able to see that the music that you chose will be in your main menu. The last thing I'm going to do, and at this point it's completely optional, this will just make your game look better, because of course you know that I love making these games look really good and look as good as possible within the amount of time that I have. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create an animation for my camera to make it not look just completely static. Now if you don't want to do this, please don't do it. You know, camera animation, it's always completely optional, since this stuff is pretty complicated. But all you have to do is just type animation. I believe all of you can do it. You just gotta maybe rewind it a few times, but you can get it if you want to. Now I just added the animation component. I'm gonna go down to my animation tab, and I'm also gonna go into my animations folder before I start animating, so that the animation is automatically put in here for us. Now if I click that animation tab and the camera, I can now go ahead and press create. And I'm gonna name this animation the main menu main menu camera, main menu camera. And I'm going to press record right here. And what I'm going to do is pretty simple in terms of an animation. I see my preview right here, so I know what I'm dealing with. So what I'm going to do is maybe just go out to the 1 second mark right here, bring the FOV out a little bit, and then I'm going to copy the first frame and then bring the FOV back to normal. And if we press play, as you can see now, it goes super fast. That looks so bad. I'm gonna go ahead and drag this, select everything, and drag it all out like this. So now it all happens. Still a little bit bad. It looks a little bit bad. What I can do instead is zoom in. And if I press the game tab, just see what this looks like. Yeah, it looks a little bit different. What I can also do is I can change the rotation here to make it look like it's moving around, and then bring the rotation back to a normal position right here. And then we have something pretty similar to Minecraft, where they have their moving main menu. And now as you can see, yeah, that is a pretty nice animation, even though it's just literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 animation clips right there. It's a pretty detailed animation, and it will do a lot for your game. So finally, to make this animation work, as we have done in the past and keep doing for these animations, we've got to come down to our animation, click it so it reveals it in the project tab, drag the animation over to where it says none animation clip, click the animation down here, and then instead of just being on default mode, this is going to be looping, so we want to change it to loop. Let's save our game, and now we have a main menu animation. And honestly, that's all I have to show in this video. I showed you everything. I've done a little bit extra that I wasn't even meant to show you, but I tried to do everything to make this main menu look as good as possible. However, there are some parts that may have been a little bit confusing. Now, if there are any parts that look confusing, please definitely just let me know in the Discord server, and either me or someone from my team that sees your problem will go ahead and just help you out when they can, which should be ASAP. So yeah, let's go ahead and just test out our save functionality real quick, because I don't think we did this yet. So if I just go ahead and press new game, since I can't press load game, I'm in my game here, and if I just wait for like 9 seconds, we should see that our save game pops up somewhere near the bottom. There it is. All right, it saved our game, and then it should just go away. All right, so there we go. There's save functionality. So if I come out of here and then I come back in by pressing play again, we should see that our load game now says level 0. and it won't save our position in our level, because that could make it a little bit cheaty, you know, if you can just keep leaving the game. But it will save our level that we went to. So let's see. Yep, load game is now available, and we can press level 0 on it, and now we're in level 0 automatically. Now let's say we made it past level 0, and we made it instead all the way to level 1. Now if I come over here to level 1 over here by pressing next level, and I turn on my flashlight since this level is completely dark. Now as you can see, at the bottom right, we see that it saved our game. So when I go ahead and come out of here, and then I come back in to the main menu, we should see that we can press load game and it will say level 1. And then instead of having to press new game, going all the way from the beginning, it will just say level 1. Yep, there we go. Level 1 is now available, and we can press level 1, which will send us to the dark backrooms area of level 1, which you might want to make it into a different level with like stone walls or whatever. But I just did that for simplicity because, you know, it's a pretty basic game. Hello there, Mr. Smiler. He disappeared. And because I made level 1 my final game, as you can see, when I finish level 1, it goes to you win. And I did show you how to do this at the very end of the previous tutorial if you did want to get this same you win screen. And when I press finish, for now it just literally takes me back to level the main menu. And when I press exit game, as you can see, so this has been part 10 of the Backrooms Game Lab, in which I showed you how to create the main menu. It's a pretty cool camera effects here to make your main menu look super polished, super official. And I am going to link the website that I got the music from in the description down below. If you want to use the same music as me, you don't have to, but just FYI, that music is pretty good for this kind of like menu. It sounds pretty cool for this menu. I like it in my game. You might like it in yours. It's up to you. At the end of the day, you get to choose what you want to do for your own game. And yeah, no, that's pretty much everything. Remember, the exit button will not work unless you're in a built game. So this has been part 10 of the Backrooms Game Lab. Part 11 is next episode, and that one will be showcasing creating the pause menu of the Backrooms. The pause menu, what a weird name. The pause menu of the Backrooms. All right, whatever. That will show pause menu functionality of the Backrooms, where you can press tab or escape. We're probably going to use tab to pause the game, and that will show a button where you can use to exit the game, back to the main menu, or you can save the game by pressing the save button on the screen. I don't know if I'll do that. I might just make it super simple. We'll see how I'm feeling next episode. But either way, there will be a pause menu that pauses the game and allows you to interact with a pause menu on the side of your screen. But yeah, no, this has been part 10 of the Backrooms Game Lab. I have been Developer Jake, and we will see you in the next one.